the early story of the formation of residential area in Demak about 15th and 16th century with the election of area. Activated by Rajan Patah and Palisongo. With later development, first Islamic kingdom on the island of Java. Yeah. The research is focused on studying the geographical environmental condition in the Demak area past. RG choice the location of the establishment of Oya capital. Certainly take into account ecological aspect, both physical and non-physical. Yeah. And then my research method, geographical and geological and environmental data, can help plot in the region for choosing the location of the center of with options of observation and drilling, geoelectric measurement and test pit excavation carried out around Demak to the coastal area in the Moro Demak, around the city of Demak, of the coastal in the Moro Demak. Map including topography map, cadastral map, and satellite photo map satellite Semarang, Demak, para area. Then historical and archaeological also use determinant location the center of the king. The resi fall that run across Mount Puria as well radial square now seen to be fed by several rivers. This also affected the process for the area, which at the end of the Pleistocene was still not formed and valley basin, which is the end of the meeting between two synclinate Semarang Rembag Dune and the Randu Belatung Dune. Based on the result of the analysis, I can be interpreted that coastal of the Demak Kingdom was area Tombolo area. Tombolo is sedimentation soil emerging from the sea. water, the sea. The interpretation of observation of map, aerial photograph, and satellite also based on the result geoelectric measurement and trailing. Moment. And trailing and trailing and the speed. Yeah, and this the picture area Mount Muria and area Rembang is yellow and yellow and brown. This is a high area, and green. This is area sedimentation. Yeah, and the picture in the right is a photo satellite. Yeah. Photo satellite. This is yeah, the same the picture in the left. And then the result of the analysis showed that the area which are the keystone sediment character by the presented and by deposit Present with the reflection Wedung Serangan Gunung Harjo Tirtono Rejo areas, yeah. These areas around of the Lebak city now.
I'm afraid you're running out of time.
Oh yes.
Would you please go to the core of the presentations and the conclusions, perhaps?
Yeah. From ya ini dari gambar terlihat bahwa zaman dahulu Kabupaten Demak terletak di sebuah pulau island which is emerging from sedimentary process. Ya. Proses yang menyambungkan Pulau Jawa dengan Gunung Muria. And ini juga data historis data sejarah juga menunjukkan bahwa ada kunjungan pelayaran dari Majapahit ke Demak. Ya, itu data sejarah dari naskah-naskah. Juga ini Fokker episode. Fokker he melihat bekas alun-alun, bekas keraton. Ya. Begitu aja barangkali Pak Arifka.
Yes.
Yang untuk sementara bisa saya sampaikan ya.
Thank you so much for the presentations, Pak Eko Punto. And let's move on to the next presenter. We're going to have Bapak Suyanto and Bapak Fajrupala to deliver presentations. Is Pak Suyanto or Pak Fajrupala here? Not yet. So the presentations then will be moved to the next presenter, There is Bu Dwi Wulandari. Time is yours, Bu Dwi Wulandari.
Okay, just a second, yeah. Let me,
Yes.
okay.
Yes.
I need to share screen, just a second. Oops. Okay, so my paper is actually about the representations of women in Hadines pada sebuah kapal. So I think everyone knows about this novel. It's quite old novel, written in 1973, but because it's very popular one, it's very prevalent and it keeps on republished. And so the one that I use here is the 9th editions of the 2009. So why? Actually, there are so many studies on how women are portrayed in the novels, but mostly are segmented on girls only or on adult women only. In Pada Sebuah Kapal, it's a bit different because women are portrayed evolving from the girl's life, and then it turned until the marriage life and the motherhood. So in short, it evolves from the girls into the adult. Pada Sebuah Kapal is also considered as a brave novel of its times because it's picturing a woman who dares to break the norms, understand her quality, and looks ahead for the future. So actually, it's compared to what someone has been published. In 1973, Pada Sebuah Kapal is considered as quite a brave novel because of the descriptions of how women behave on even on the romance situation is also described quite clear. So the further question is how the social constructions contribute to such character, or is it a contributions or a limitations? That's what I want to know further, how actually women is described in this novels. So the descriptions of women, they've got into 4 points actually. It's about single women, married women, women-related works, motherhood, and the last one is also how women see, loves, and men. And so in single women, there are standard of beauty and standard of behavior. The standard of beauty is that they have fair skins and being tall, like I think it still applies until today that women are regarding beautiful when they are having a fair skin and being tall. And standard behavior is fineness, purity, gracefulness. Women should not laugh out loud. They should show a certain degree of shyness, and it is discouraged for women to have eye contact. It's very clearly mentioned in this novel. The marriage women are married due to many reasons, but most of it because they are being sweet, soft, young, and beautiful. So the feminine side of the woman is really emphasized for women to be able to get married. And then women should understand that the husband is the representations of God at home, being the king of the house. And in many cases, this creates insecure feelings of not pretty enough or sexy enough to give the husband's love. Next is that married women should also understand that husband is where their heaven is. There is a tendency to please their husband. It's because of this, there is a tendency to please their husband in whatever aspect. In this novel, it clearly mentions that Sri is dancing not only for herself, not for her career, but to please her husband. And also as the source of the husband comfort. So that's why women should not even allow to show miserable face. They have to look happy in front of the husband. There is also a tendency to do whatever the husband wants because of that concept. So even if women undergoes bad treatment or ill treatment by the husband, she is discouraged to reply. She should choose to make peace by herself by accepting that fact, accepting the destiny, or just to cry quietly. And so at that point, sometimes when women are in a very bad marriage, she will consider herself as one of the husband's property. The descriptions of motherhood. Being mother is a different one. I mean, but still how the conditions of the marriage lives also affect the descriptions of the motherhood. The social constructions 4 says that women must be a good mother even if they have to suffer. So like it is the jobs of the mother to care of the woman. So they have to be a good mother no matter what. And women will never leave their child no matter what again. So in these novels, that was emphasized when they are fussing with the social constructions. Like this is what the social construction want to see the women, right? So though admitting the social constructions force, so this is what Sri has done. So she admitted those social constructions force. She talked about this to other people that she has to be a good mother. But during her unhappy life, unhappy marriage life, she considered that the child is a burden that she is willing to leave her behind. So honestly, she would feel this because her love.
Hello, Badui. I'm afraid you're freezing. We cannot hear anything from you. Okay, you're back now.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. So another thing is that the descriptions of women's views on love and men. So love is highly appreciated and worth sacrifice. So loves make her free, sure, and welcome. So only by feeling love, she feels a lot of feeling as human. And then she also concerns if the society will notice that her husband no longer shows any love feeling. So this is an important point to notice actually, because even if she regret her marriage life, even if she's not happy with her marriage life, she's still concerned of how the social life should view her life. She should feel concerned. Okay, 5 minutes. All right. She should feel concerned that yes, they want the society to see her love's life. She want the other person to see that her husband's love her, that love conquer the most part of her lives. And then love is also the feeling to chase away the guilty feeling of committing adultery. So in this novel,
Okay,
there
you're
are
freezing a bit,
many
Badui.
examples of adultery. Okay. All right, so and women also look up highly on the man they love. Man is the center of her happiness. So losing a man means losing her life, and strong men will be able to protect her from any evil in this world. It's like exaggerating, but yeah, that's what is said. All right, so although Pada Sebuah Kapal is considered a brave novel at her time due to the frank outspoken ideas of adultery in the name of love, the basic line for the woman pictured in this novel heavily relates the women in their appearance, which values the finest and feminine look, and the roles in the society which centralize as wives and mothers. I think that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Badui, for delivering the valuable presentations. So we still have 3 minutes. Is anyone going to deliver some questions over the presentation? No?
Yep.
Enough? Okay, tidak ada yang bertanya? Right.
Thank you, Barifka.
Thank you, Budwi. And the next presentations will be delivered by Bapak Suyanto or Bapak Fajrul Falah with the title of the paper, Human Capital Accumulations and Entrepreneurship Spirit of Returning Migrants in Cilacap District, Central Java Province, Indonesia. Without further ado, time is yours. Bapak Fajrul Falah. You're still muted, Pak Fajrul.
Your background.
Okay. Thank you, moderator, Mr. Rifka. Can you read my voice first?
Yes, I can hear you, but I haven't seen the presentation slides.
Okay. You have share screen.
Yes, it's
Okay.
visible now, Pak Fajrul.
Okay. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm sorry, Mr. Suyanto.
not attending. He has meeting in ours, but me Fajrul Fala to change presentation. The title of my presentation: Human Capital Accumulation and Entrepreneurship Spirit of Migrant Return in Cilacap Regency, Central Java Province. Ini Humanities Faculty of Universitas Diponegoro. The first table of content, the introduction, theoretical framework, methods, result, and discussion, and the last conclusion. Maybe 10 or 15 minutes enough to presentation. The first introduction. Various studies show that migrant in general and return migrant in particular have accumulated human capital which is useful in economic development, but they, especially international migrants, are keen of addicted to always working abroad, become remittance, which tend to be consumptive and investment need. Ladies and gentlemen and moderator, Mr. Rifka, Indonesia is not known maritime country or agricultural, but Indonesian known badminton than migrant. Several in studies have shown that the ability return migrant cannot be fully utilized productive behavior in origin area. The should require serious attention from the government so as not increase the number of employed people when they return to Indonesia. Therefore, human capital is an important instrument in empowering returning migrants, but not previous studies have focused on exploiting in accumulated human capital and exploring the entrepreneurial spirit of return migrants. So the next theoretical framework, human capital is the accumulation of knowledge, expertise, experience, and other attributes of the strength of worker in organization and stimulated productive performance and achievement of strategic goal. In the context of entrepreneurship, Paralel 2015 explained that someone with ADHD like behavior tend to have hack entrepreneur intention. The classical theory ini connect the computer business state that the characteristic of entrepreneur. So the method of the research is the research use survey design and case study, especially Cilacap. In Europe or country migrant famous in Central Java is Brebes and Cilacap, Kendal in East Java, Malang Malang, and West Java, Indramayu, Cirebon, and others city. Cilacap Regency is area of origin of international migrant nationally. To return migrants are highly depend of working abroad because of the large number of productive age population working abroad in this district. The number of remittance is also large. The study sample size was determined using the Craigie and Morgan technique. Data collection used structured interviews, in-depth interviews, and focus group discussion. Data analysis use descriptive statistical analysis, single frequency distribution table, and qualitative descriptive analysis. And we resolve and discussion. Please log in table of picture, characteristic of respondent. In right, human capital accumulation. Ini age 20 to 60 Number percent education level ini, and experiences number. Low technology obtained, the processing of forest, manage and agricultural, processing plantation, household work tool, and others. Entrepreneurial spirit of returning migrants. Some return migrants have a good spirit of innovation. developing existing business, only marketing, product packaging, business skill acquired in the host country. Other return migrant have mini market. I'm sorry, Alfamart, Indomart, or the store, but now in pandemic is maybe online shopping, yeah, and business of smartphones. In generally, return migrant have the courage to take risks. Return migrant also generally have a good perception of reading business opportunities. And the last, in addition, their business is institution is general alert, such as trade ornamental plants and cultivates ornamental plants with high economic value, such as crickets, columns, and other. So the fiscal or conclusion, migrants are again accumulating human capital in terms of new knowledge and skill in operation technology for domestic, yeah, the plot and stretching knowledge and skill, but is for domestic work. Indonesia sends people to other country, not work professional, but just domestic jobs. This is not technology is agricultural include processing, agricultural land, plantation product. Return migrant have adopt urban value of recreation, holiday, and shopping. So the last statement, Ms. Rika, moderator, and other participants, I hope migrant back to Indonesia, not still migrant, not the new rich people or it accent Indonesia OKB, orang kaya baru, but they back to Indonesia, he become entrepreneurship. I think enough, yeah, I hope clear. Thank you, moderator, Mr. Rifka, thank you.
Thank you very much for the interesting presentations. We still have time. Does anyone in the room have some questions? No? Or perhaps opinions or statements? Right.
Enough, thank you. Yeah.
Enough? Right. If there's no questions or opinions on the presentations, then we will go to the next presenter. Without further ado, the next presentations will be delivered by Bapak Fauzan Ahmad with the title of the presentations, Understanding of Marks Management in Semarang City during COVID-19 Disease and Plague. Time is yours, Pak Fauzan.
Thank you very much. Okay, can you hear my sound?
Yes, I can, sir.
Okay, I will share my screen. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Rifka. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. This time I will present my article entitled Understanding of the Management of the Mosque Takmir in the City of Semarang Against Illness and the COVID-19 Outbreak. As we know, the COVID virus has been attacking the world for more than 2 years until now. The COVID-19 pandemic has changed the fabric of the world community in order to prevent the spread of coronavirus outbreak. People are encouraged and even forced to stay at home because according to the research, that transmission of the virus occurs through objects around us that are contaminated with the COVID-19 virus that we touch and then touch our mouth, nose, and eyes. Apart from being detrimental to health, the COVID-19 virus also has an impact into the economy. Over time, uh, staying at home is considered not to be applied forever to maintain economic balance. A number of countries have also begun to relax policies related to the mobility of the citizens. However, with the new Delta variant, it turns out that there has been high increase in COVID-19 patients, included those who died enforcement of restriction on emergency communities activities, levels, mass vaccination, health protocol, all in order to reduce the number of people with COVID and create community, we said, immunity, herd immunity. The impact of enactment of we say PSSB or PPKM is the closure of mosque, the absence of congregational prayers and other religious activities. The majority of the Indonesian population is Muslim, as you know. Whether the mosque is closed or not, it depends, not closed, it depends on the discretion of the mosque administrator, we call takmir. So the mosque management or takmir understanding of illness and epidemic is important to determine, to handle it, especially communication with congregation. And they will determine how the two government communities and makes decisions regarding the handling of the outbreak of the community. Yeah. This is mosque, congregation, management, citizen, and worship. Yeah. The duties of the manager in the mosque is prospering the mosque, idarah about administration, riayah about development, emirate, direction society, and education the community. Understanding the concept of health and illness will determine how humans respond to the six system or symptom, the arise of stake individuals. The form of individual knowledge is society regarding the concept on understanding of health and illness is strongly influenced by the environment, ideology, and ideas, as well as the value that are belief in community group. Some respond rationally, some are irrational. An understanding of people's attitudes towards illness will determine how to treat and overcome it. No, no. How is the problem is how is the concept of illness in Islam, and how does the Takmir Mosque management in Semarang City understand about illness, epidemic, and COVID? And is it, as you know, illness in Islam, health and illness are the provisions of Allah. God gives pain, Allah also heals. We can read in Surah Ashura, and all that way the aim of testing who is the best indeed. There must be wisdom or wisdom behind it all. If some experience, and then you can read in Surah Al-Baqarah, the meaning of illness in the Islamic perspective means to attest, to atone for sins and mistakes, to reach a higher position and prove that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants goodness for his servants. As you know, keeping health is important in Islam. The Islamic concept, we are obligated to maintain health. There are hadiths, keeping health is important. Yeah, health before illness, young before age, had time before terror, rich before poor, life before death. Yeah? Ill get rukhsah, yeah, elimination, may living, fasting, pray as much as possible is calculated to worship. Muslims are mandatory to keep health and cleanliness, keep diet. If you are sick, you must be patient and try, seek treatment and pray. This is Islamic knowledge. In Islam, the goals of to be achieved by the Sharia so that human benefit can be realized must attention by to 5 things called maqasid Sharia, the element of maqasid Sharia, 5 principles of maqasid Sharia. There are protect religion, hifdud protect soul, hifdul nafs, and then protect mind, hifdul aql, protect prosperity, and then protect of spring. Now, maqasid Sharia is the goal to be achieved by Sharia so that human benefit can be realized. In general, maqasid Sharia is a purpose or the good or benefit on mankind. This goal is in line with the purpose of God law, namely goodness. Yeah, this is our research, the result of research. Yeah, regarding to issues of health and illness, almost of respondents, 90%, yeah, 86% started his health and illness is fully provision destined from Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Human can only try while God decides. Some 8% stated that illness is the result of human actions themselves. This proves the strength of their beliefs, akidah or faith. In order to maintain their health, all of them agree that it's necessary for human to maintain health by maintaining fitness. The rest is added to the necessity of maintaining health for food intake and guaranteeing the health, and most importantly, praying to Allah or dua. In order for humans to be healthy, what do they need? When humans are sick, almost all respondents also that they should immediately seek a treatment to recover and rest and pray to Allah. There is small percentage stating that there is no need for immediately treatment because they believe that illness is an effort to forgive from Allah. For them, being sick is God's effort to remind themselves to be aware of their mistakes and God's way of aborting their sins. Even if they have to seek treatment, our respondents refer to paramedic, doctor, yeah, and then a small percentage go to ustad, goes to kiai, yeah, where the personal replacement majority go to paramedics. According to them, what do they when they are sick to pray for healing? According to them, what they do when they are sick and to pray for healing to God after trying to take medicine, the rest needs to be added by following paramedic advice, resting, eating vitamin, healthy, intake, and pray. Yeah. Then the reason why people get sick, oh no, sorry. For them, illness is a test for God for believers to abort sins. They argue that illness is a blessing given by God to them.
You have
Some
5 minutes
argue,
left, Pak Fauzan.
okay, this is the reason why the people get sick, yeah, because mereka tidak menjaga diri. And then who is the most trusted party in COVID news? Most of them from paramedics, yeah, paramedics, no, and government. Some from Majlis Ulama. And then what is the most following media? They are following media majority from television and social media. And then what do you think about the news? Some of them say that it is normal because that has been determined in Lauhil Mahfud. Yeah, some list they say about a scary of the news. What do they think about COVID? Yeah, in responding to the COVID-19 pandemic, the majority of respondent followed the rules recommended by doctor, government, and Majlis Ulama. Yeah. Such as staying at home, working at home, wearing mask, always washing hands with soap and sanitizer. This means that their level of compliance is quite high, although some respondent by continuing to carry out activities outside the home or as if it's really necessary, such as worshipping or shopping for basic needs, but by following the health protocols set by the government. Okay, this is the conclusion. COVID-19 has changed the order of life in various human life around the world. So it is necessary to get used to living with the new normal. The understanding of chairmen of the Semarang Mosque Takmir management that is varies, but almost all think that illness is test and blessing from Allah, but humans are still required to try to heal with effort. Regarding the COVID-19 outbreak that it hit, most of them were not worried. They surrendered and put their trust in Allah while still trying to comply with the recommendation of health expert and the government. According to the most respondents, the corona outbreak is a trial or test from God to humans, a warning and punishment from God for human action that are far from his rules. 5. In responding to the COVID-19 pandemic, the majority of respondents followed the rule of recommendation by doctor or government and ulama. This is Majlis Ulama Indonesia, such as staying at home, working at home, wearing mask, always washing hands with soap or hand sanitizer, and maintaining health hygiene. The level of compliance of Takmir Masjid managers with health protocol is quite high, although there are still some who respond by continuing to carry out activities outside the home if absolutely necessary, such as praying or shopping for basic needs, but still following the health protocols set by the government. And recommendation, the government should always synergize and involve the Takmir Mosque manager in an effort to prevent the transmission of COVID-19 in the city of Semarang, considering its strategies, role, and educating pilgrims. 2, in communicating to the community, especially Muslims, the government should pay attention to their attitudes and views on illness, including in making word choice and communication or method to choice communication. And 3, the government in the last, the government is expected to always improve COVID-19 literacy to the public and provide correct and accurate information related to COVID-19 to Semarang City Mosque Takmir Management. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you so much for presenting the valuable research. And Pak Fauzan will still take the floor, but with different title of presentations and research. So the other paper that will be presented by Pak Fauzan is entitled Knowledge of Tourism Related to Halal Tour in the City of Semarang in the Pandemic Era. Are you ready for the next sessions, Pak Fauzan?
Okay, I will try.
Time is yours.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you to Pak Rifka, the moderators, for giving me the opportunity. Dear conference participants, this time I will present a presentation entitled The Level of Tourist Knowledge Regarding Halal Tourism in Semarang City in the Era of Pandemic. Okay. The table contains introduction, method, result, decision, conclusion, and recommendation. As you know, the tourism sector plays an important role in the world economy because it is considered as one of the contributors to job growth and economic growth in a country. In Islam, tourism is highly recommended for worship, seeking knowledge. The command of your as this tour is many in the Quran. Even tourists are given relief in worship. Yeah, there are many ayah. Yeah, there are specialities in tourism for Muslims, namely the co-oblation of for Muslims to perform the 5 daily prayers. Yeah, halal food and drinks, water for purification, privacy of men and women. Therefore, halal tourism is developed, namely tourism in general, but by providing facilities for Muslim. Yeah, yeah. In 29, Citizen Rating Index identified as 6 main faith-based needs that influence the consumption behavior of Muslim tourism. There are halal food, prayer facilities, Ramadan service, water-friendly bathroom, no non-alcohol, non-halal activities and recreational facilities and service with privacy. And there are 3 new needs, yeah, in this year. Yeah, there are no Islamophobia, social causes, and local Muslim experience. And it increases in the number of Muslim tourism is an opportunity and a challenge to improve the tourism sector. So many countries are competing to attract Muslim tourists by increasing their tourism industry. Indonesia has launched halal tourism in the era of Minister Arif Yahya, and now Mr. Sandiaga Uno too. Yeah, Semarang City has potential to be developed into halal tourism destination. However, until now, there is no regulation that regulated the halal tourism. The following are the difference between the concept of conventional tourism, religious tourism, and halal Sharia tourism. There are different object, exam, target, guide, amenities, culinary, relation, agenda. So halal tourism is a different with religious tourism and travel conventional. Yeah. Tourism activities in Islam are highly recommended. Yeah. These tourist order in found in various verses in Al-Quran. Among them are siyar and safar, asyaha, ziyarah, rehla. The Al-Quran mentions the word siyah in several places. For example, in Surat At-Tawbah, and An'am, An-Naml. In Islam, as you know, tourism can be considered as an act of worship, such as the command to make pilgrimage in certain month to the Umrah, performed throughout the year to Baytullah. Tourism also required in context to seeking and spreading knowledge and learning, meditation, and admiring Allah's creations. The concept of halal has become the lifestyle of today's society. The term Islamic tourism, halal tourism, was first known to the public in 19 at the OIC meeting, Organization Islamic Committee meeting, as an alternative to meet the demand for a tour based on lifestyle according to the needs of Muslim when traveling. Indonesian halal tourism has again become a hot topic on conversation after cresting MasterCard on 15th of February 1919, announced that Indonesia was ranked first as world halal tourism. Yeah, as well halal tourism, Indonesia is the first. Yeah. However, the concept of halal tourism is still being debated by some circle in Bali and Minahasa, especially in non-Muslim majorities areas such as Bali, Toraja, Labuan Bajo, etc. The trigger is the emergence of the perception that halal tourism is means of spreading certain religious dogmas and has the potential to divide the harmony of religious life and disrupt certain cultural custom. When referring to the concept, the Ministry of Tourism of the Republic of Indonesia, say Kemenpar, halal tourism is basically a Muslim-friendly tour with the aim of meeting the needs and experience in Muslim tourism. Yeah. The indicators include availability in halal food and beverage services, availability of worship facilities, clean toilets with adequate water, Islamophobia-free, value social benefit, Ramadan program, unique experience for Muslim travelers, free from non-halal activities, and provision of recreation area with privacy. In general, the Ministry of Tourism has declared halal tourism development programs as priority since 1940. Yeah, 1940. Ministry of Tourism data states that the growth of the Indonesian halal tourism marked in 1918 reached 18%, with the number of foreign Muslim tourism reaching 2.8 million and foreign exchange reaching more than 40 trillion rupiahs. As a means of accelerating the development of halal tourism, the Ministry of Tourism organized the Islamic Muslim Travel Index, EMTI, in 28 and 2018 and 2016. The IMT assessment was carried out directly by Christian Rating Mastercard in collaborating with Indonesia using the four main indicators sent by GMTI, namely accessibility, communication, environment, and services. Muslim-friendly tourism of a Muslim halal food cannot be applied in all regions. The tourism concept needs to consider local wisdom. Okay, the problem is, why has Semarang not become a halal tourism destination? How is the level of knowledge of tourists regarding halal tourism in city of Semarang? Yeah. And how is Semarang city readiness to become a halal tourism destination? And how should tourism be during pandemic? Okay. Okay, we can say the result. Yeah, result. Okay, number of religion adherents. Yeah. The city of Semarang has many tourist destinations. Yeah, to be developed into halal tourism destinations, such as cultural tourism, religious tourism, and then natural tourism like Sampokong, Gereja Belendu, and then the old city, Lawang Sewu, Great Mosque, Masjid Agung, Buddhist temple, and then Dukter, Warak Ngendok, and the others. Besides that, Semarang also has accommodation and transportation, good transportation, yeah, facilities that support halal tourism. The knowledge of the public on tourism about the concept of halal tourism is quite low. Right, this is quite low. Yeah. The social life of the people of Semarang city is very peaceful, even though the resident of heterogeneous. The geographical condition of Semarang city are exotic. There is a upper city and lower city. Yeah, has the sea and mountains. This high biodiversity makes the city of Semarang has the potential as city of halal tourism destination. The tourism product offered are grouped into three things, namely natural tourism, cultural tourism, and artificial tourism. This cultural diversity is characterized by historical buildings, has many tourism destinations, both natural, cultural, and artificial, but the city of Semarang is still less outlet by local and foreign tourism. Yeah. It turns out that there are still many people who do not about halal tourism. From online questionnaires, most answered that they had heard it of it, level knowledge of concept halal. Small portion started that they had not heard of the concept of halal tourism. Almost half of respondents already know the concept of halal tourism, but when we check in the field, 19% answered that they never knew about halal tourism. There are still quite a few who considered halal tourism to be identical to religious tourism, specifically for even though the concept of halal tourism is very different from religious tourism. There are 21% of respondents who identify halal tourism as exclusive tourism for Muslim. Not so surprisingly, this had led to a polemic in some areas, especially those that are non-Muslim. Non-Muslim tourists actually strongly agree that the concept of halal tourism is applied in the city of Semarang. Almost all non-Muslim respondents, about 9%, Christian and 2% Catholic, 1 Buddhist, started their agreement with the concept of halal tourism. Some people are still allergic to word of halal. They consider the word halal tourism synonymous with religious tourism or exclusive tourism for Muslim. Then our respondent answered agreed that Semarang city was used as a halal tourism destination. Therefore, they proposed the addition of prayer facilities that represent a place for ablution that is clean and enough water for purification, clean and safe facilities, halal culinary markers, separation of male and female toilets. The completeness of halal tourism facilities is highly expected by tourism. In general, they want to improve facilities, especially available of educated worship facilities, both in strategic, comfortable, spacious place, guaranteed safety, and cleaning as well as available. You can see the table. In addition, not all tourism aspects are supported by clear halal culinary. In fact, most respondents want to availability for a culinary place that is guaranteed to be clean and halal. Indeed, around the tourist attract, there are several stalls selling food and drink, but on average, there is no halal certificate from Majelis Ulama Indonesia. Halal information is also poorly communicated, especially in tourism promotion. Even though some respondents got information about tourism destination in Semarang city from Googling from the internet and from social media. Yeah, from here, massive socialization is needed to inform the extent of halal tourism destination, equipped with facilities and certainly of halal foods and drink to tourists, both via the internet and social media, as well as tour package, brochure from travel bureau entrepreneurs. Most respondents from out of town still rarely in information from social media. regarding tourism in pandemic, respondent expected tourism attraction to be open by implementing strict healthy protocols.
Mr.
The reason,
you have 5 minutes left.
Okay, thank you. The reason is because there is already a vaccine, people are already bored, and economy is moving. Others said that should be closed on grounds that the pandemic has now gone away and tourism is not a primary need. However, in reality, many respondents found that the implementation of health protocols was not strict, while another 30% stated that tourism object has not implemented health protocol properly. The application of the concept of halal tourism is very appropriate, especially regarding the application of health protocols. The application of health protocols in accordance with the principle of Islamic law, namely maqasidu sharia, as I said in the other article, with the principle of law in hygiene principle in every case, the availability of water for washing hands, the availability of healthy, clean, and halal foods and drink, which are needed not only for Muslim tourism, but also for non-Muslim. The application of the protocol during the pandemic is very aligned with Islamic worldview. The conclusion is halal has become a lifestyle of today's society, including halal tourism. The city of Semarang has the potential to become a halal tourism tourist destination because it is supported by exotic natural condition, unique cultural diversity, and high community and tourist support. The level of knowledge of tourism about halal tourism is low. Then not all the supporting facilities for halal tourists are provided properly by tourism managers in the city of Semarang. And the last, the existence of halal tourism in pandemic season actually supports the cleanliness and food and beverage, as well as cleanliness of tourist sites in accordance with the Muslim world view. Especially during this pandemic, halal tourism can be opened by implementing strict health protocols. And recommendation, there are 5 recommendations. One, the first of all, in order to provide facilities for Muslim tourists, such as the provision of representative prayer facilities, the availability of sufficient water for purification, and guarantee of halal food and beverage, and convenience for tourist privacy. In order to collaboration with Indonesian ulama, Majlis Ulama Indonesia, and the Halal Assurance Management Agency, and the Food and Drug Security Agency, BPOM, to obtain halal product certification for culinary business and restaurant to ensure the halalness of food and beverage and culinary product around tourist sites. In order to cooperate with tourist entrepreneurs, travel bureaus, hotel and restaurants to promote the existence of halal tourism to the public. And fourth, in order to promoting and socializing through social media and even to introduce and understand halal tourism, as well as make halal tour package to travel bureau. The last, in order to strictly enforce health protocol at tourist sites. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much again for the interesting presentations delivered by Mr. Fauzan Ahmad. And let's move on to the next presenter. So everyone in the room could deliver some questions on the research being presented through the meeting chat or directly to the microphone, with the microphone. And without further ado, the next presentation is entitled The Flare of Xenophobia in America During COVID-19 Pandemic will be delivered by Amanda Nurfasha. Time is yours, Amanda Nurfasha.
Yes, wait a minute, we'll share my screen.
Would you please turn on the camera?
Oh, yes. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. So here I will present my presentation about my study, that is the flare of xenophobia in America during COVID-19 pandemic. And there is the table of contents, that is title, background, research questions, purpose of study, method, result, conclusion, and reference. Background: COVID-19 pandemic initially found in Wuhan, China on December 1st, 2019. This virus was not come from Wuhan, but the virus was first detected in there. Various information about COVID-19 was spreading fast when the first time this virus detected, which makes the intensity of the spread of misinformation become vulnerable, as there are too much information from reliable sources or non-reliable sources that people absorb. As a result, people will easily defend themselves with any various way when other people approach them, as they may scared with something that seem will attack them or spread the virus to them. And this pandemic is contributing in create xenophobic attitudes among American people. Xenophobia itself is the fear of or scared of something that is strange or foreign. Usually it linked with fear or dislike with other people, race, culture, country, religion, and etc. Xenophobic people usually will defend themselves but any various ways if they feel they were threatened by the condition around them. Many cases had led the negative attitudes flourishing in America during this pandemic, especially xenophobic attitudes, ASEAN hate, and racism. Research questions. First, what kinds of xenophobic attitudes do Asian American and Chinese people frequently receive during COVID-19 pandemic by society in America? And second, what makes xenophobic attitudes flourish in America during COVID-19 pandemic? Purpose of study. The purpose of the study is to discover and to identify kinds of negative attitudes that might be surfaced by Asian American people and Chinese people throughout this pandemic by analyzing the data from various articles or news regarding to Asian American and Chinese people who are experiencing with racism and xenophobic attitudes. Method that I use is descriptive research method are used in this study to know the phenomena of xenophobic attitudes and its circumstances that happen at the present, and then identify kinds of its xenophobic attitudes that faced by Asian American and Chinese people in America. The note-taking technique is also used to record the information and data from various sources regarding to reports of Asian American and Chinese people who experiencing Asian hate, xenophobic attitudes, and racism. The data collected from reports on various articles and news from Fox, the New York Times, and Time. Result from the data reports, many discrimination and xenophobic attitudes have been received by Asian American and Chinese people. Most of American people see Asian American and Chinese people as other or not part of their society, as they see there are differences or diversity among them. The theory of otherness or othering contribute to lead prejudice, xenophobia, and other negative attitudes alive. The distinction in culture, race, social region of Eastern countries, Japan, and China related with the concept of otherness itself. The results are shown that Asian American and Chinese people received verbal and non-verbal attacks by American people, that is hate speech and physical attacks. Hate speech, many Asian American and Chinese people found surfacing hate speech from American people, mostly in public places. They also got followed by strange peoples before receiving hate speech or verbal slurs. Americans people assume that Chinese or Asian American people have the virus on their body. American people show their hatred towards Asian American and Chinese people in America by their threat and racial and verbal slurs. There is that threat. People of Asian American or Chinese descent get easily receiving that threat from Americans in America. Thus, the Asian American and Chinese people are in unsafe situation every time, which lead them have an anxious feeling every time they go out. Because this incident can happen anytime in their daily life. Therefore, Asian American and Chinese people need to feel secure whenever and wherever they have to facing people outside. And B, there are racial and verbal slurs. Reports show that many Asian Americans and Chinese people got harsh called from Americans. They also receiving racial and verbal slurs from them as they seemed like people who have Asian descent. There are many ways that Americans use to express or show their xenophobic attitudes, which are yelling, shouting, and calling harshly. The racial and verbal slurs from the victims' experience show that Americans people will easily calling them Asia descents harshly if they look like an Asia descent, no matter if they were also an American or not. Americans people itself still assume that they are other or not part of their society. And then there is physical attacks, not only receiving verbal attacks, but Asian American and Chinese people in America also experiencing non-verbal attacks. There are many reports show that most Asian American people and Chinese people got non-verbally attacked. Data from Stop AAPE Head Organization from 2020 until 2021 show that there are 12.6% people has already experienced physical attacks in America. Asian American and Chinese people facing many kinds of physical attacks such as gut kick, punch, death gas, spat, spit, or coke. And then the conclusion, Asian American people received many kinds of xenophobic attitudes through verbal and non-verbal attacks, such as hate speech and physical attacks, which lead them feel not secure and anxious all the time. These actions happen because American people itself still assume Asian American, Chinese people, and Asian descent people in America as other. American think that Asian American, Chinese people, and Asia descent people in America are foreigner or strange people who do not fit their society, even if they were also part of American itself. That's all from me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amanda Nurfasya. And ladies and gentlemen, we still have some minutes for the QA sessions. If anyone want to give some questions or comments on the presentations. No questions or comments? All right. So that will be all from Amanda Lutfasha, and let's move on to the next presenter. And the presentations will be delivered by Umi Nur F. Jannah. The committee will help me with the presentation. So Umi Nur Jannah has emailed the PowerPoints. Mungkin bisa dibantu pengoperasiannya.
I'm sorry because I'm presentation with handphone, cannot presentation with notebook.
That would be all right, Ibu Umi. Yes, and the committee will help us with the PowerPoint. Okay. Can we start the presentations, Ibu Umi?
Okay. Thank you very much. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good afternoon, dear all participants and moderator. Today, I would like to describe more about a landowing structure shift to the irrigation ecosystem in Wotan Village, Sukolilo District, Pati Regency during 2000 until 2015. This research was triggered by the question why there was a shift in the landowing structure to the irrigation ecosystem in Wotan Village, Sukolilo District, Pati Regency during 2000 until 2015. Through a critical history method, the research significant determinants were identified based on the success of Indonesian migrant workers or tenaga kerja Indonesia. From the Watan village, Sukolilo district, Pati Regency, who had given the birth the newly wealthy people or orang kaya baru. These newly wealthy people bought agriculture land having good irrigation from Jeratun Seluna reservoir resulted from their remittance while working abroad. This choice in the investment was quite productive and effective to increase the household income, leading to the improving family welfare. The success story then motivated the migrant worker from the village, even some surrounding village, to do the same thing by spending their remittance to buy agricultural land and open other productive business. The condition then shifted the landowning structure made by the migrant workers who originally had no agricultural land and then become the owner of agricultural land. The shift on landowning structure had a positive impact on agriculture productivity because the availability of their capital tended to intensify the agriculture, especially the use of fertilizer and pesticides. In addition, they also opened and developed other productive business so that the economic activity of the people of Watan village progresses dynamically. Ladies and gentlemen, my introduction research farmer life in rural area who rely their source of life on agriculture, including in Java at the beginning of the 20th century as having a familiar personal relationship and full sense of kinship and helped each other in the patron-client relationship with the moral economy of subsistence ethic. The had a socio-economic institution that was full of good and simplicity, where there was a subsistence management guarantee or life for smallholders and farm laborer from rich farmer through a pattern of employment relation in the agriculture. Number three, in the relationship of the patron client, there was a transactional relationship leading to exploitation by rich farmer to small farmer or farm workers. Next, in the second case, that small farmer were quite rational to make a choice and take strategic step in order to survive, including small investment habit in the farm of livestock and migrating out the village for better livelihood. On the other hand, there is emerging power that encourage them to leave the area. Among other are the difficulties to find jobs outside the agriculture sector and work expectation elsewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, according to Houston, there was an agriculture evolution. This was seen in increasing polarization in traditional farmer. One of them was the definition of the agriculture society in the class of commercial rich farmer on the one hand and the emergence of other exploitation groups. Uh, this phenomenon also occurred in Watan village, Sukolilo district, Pati Regency, Central Java province. Wotan village has the large agricultural land in the Java, which ranked the third nationally. So the farmer community in Wotan had decided to work as migrant worker or TKE due to the need to fulfill life and effort to improve family welfare. So how to research question? In this presentation, my research question is based on the above background. This research discussed further how to landowing structure shift to the irrigation ecosystem in Wotan village during 2000 until 2015 took place and cause impact. And how result and discussion farmer dilemma to farm or to be migrant workers. Although agricultural land in Wotan village was a strategic food production area, this region agricultural land was an area with a very high vulnerability status due to the flood, drought, pest attack, and plant disease. In its history, the area of Wotan village was the former Muria Strait, or called a mud solage. This caused labil soil condition. During the rainy season, the streets were easily flooded, while during the dry season, the land is in the village was cracked. The rice fields were susceptible to submerge in water during the rainy season. Oftentimes, the rice plants which were ready to harvest could not be sold to wholesale buyers because they were submerged in water. The condition led to the initiative to look for other more promising source of income. One of the alternatives to get income was to work as migrant, both inside and outside the country. The phenomenon on Wotan village becoming overseas migrant began to emerge and reach its peak in 2010. At the time, 45% of the residents in Jongso Hamlet, Wotan village, were known to have become Indonesian migrant workers, tenaga kerja Indonesia. The destination country for Indonesian migrant workers from Wotan were South Korea, Malaysia, or Dubai. To become migrant worker was the fulfillment of their daily needs and the desire to achieve a more decent life. On the other hand, to become a migrant workers need a lot of capital. They mortgaging or selling their agricultural land or by proposing a loan to the bank. Village farmers who wanted to sell their rice fields were highly sought after by the people who owned the capital. Those who had high income were migrant workers who were still abroad, or retired migrant workers who invested their money in the farm to
Ibu
paddy
Umi,
field. Yes.
you have 5 minutes left, Ibu Umi.
Okay. Now, conclusion this research. For conclusion, based on the above discussion, it can be concluded that the agricultural landowing structure shift to the irrigation ecosystem in Wotan village, Sukolilo district, Pati Regency, 2000 until 2015, occurred due to the three factors. First factor, working as migrant was the choice of some people Wotan village due to the real condition in which most people did not control the agricultural land and had not yet developed an irrigation ecosystem, resulting in low economic condition. Moreover, business opportunity and job opportunity were very limited. Therefore, those of the young production age group chose to become migrant workers seen as more promising employment opportunity and economic improvement. Second conclusion, the success story of several migrant workers in Watan village has proven to be a significant attraction for the local village community and surrounding village to do the same thing to become migrant workers with the same or different destination country. Third conclusion, the emergence of migrant workers' habit using their remittance to open productive business and buy the agricultural land in the village had successfully stimulated significant agriculture landowing shift to the irrigation ecosystem because agriculture cultivation could be performed intensively. Moderator and ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you, Ibu Umi Nur Afjana, for the presentations. And we still have some minutes for the Q&A. Does anyone in the room have some questions or comments on the presentations? All right. If there's no questions or comments, then we will move to the very last presenters of the sessions. So the title of the presentations would be Culturing Microalgae from Nature, Simple Experiments During Pandemic COVID-19. And the presentations will be delivered by Alisa Revali Agasani Amir or Professor Tri Retnanisi Suprapawati. Time is yours.
Hello, is my voice can be heard?
Yes, it's audible.
Okay, I would like to share screen my presentation. Okay, so Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Alisha Rafale Agasani Amir. I am an undergraduate student from the Ponegoro University, majoring in biology, and I would like to present our research about culture microalgae from nature, simple experiment during pandemic COVID-19. So the table of content include introduction, experiment, equipments, and procedures, and then results and discussion, conclusion, acknowledgements, and documentations. So first, I would like to tell you why you need to know about this culturing method and what's this all about. So microalgae are protists with eukaryotic cell structure, which can be found in water, either marine or freshwater systems, such as rivers, lakes, reservoirs, ponds, and oceans. And then they are primary producers in the ocean that can convert water and carbon dioxide to biomass oxygen in the presence of sunlight. And microalgae can be cultivated in open or closed photobioreactor, which is known as PBR, and the open ponds for the open photobioreactor. And the closed system allows better control of operating parameters, leading to higher productivities, but require greater capital investment and more energy to be operated. So by using a PBR system, microalgae cultivation can be more controlled, such as mass flux, contamination, and then temperature, pH, gas transfer, and nutrient distribution. And the protist culture method can be considered as a technique with the aim to allow protists to grow in a certain controlled environment. So nowadays, cultured microalgae is used as a direct feed for humans and land-based farm animals, and as feed for cultured aquatic species such as mollusks and the early larval stages of fish and crustaceans. It is also a potential candidate for biofuel production. So in this research, we use modification closed photobioreactor in a simple experiment. So for this equipment, we use 5 used bottle plastic and then labels, and also 5 different sources of water with the volume of 500 milliliter. And For the procedures of this experiment, first we pour 500 milliliter of different sources of water to the plastic bottle and label them. And each bottle stands for different sources of water. So the bottle that had been filled were sealed and placed where it will be exposed to sunlight. And then next, we observe the change in color every day for 14 days. And then we analyze the optimal population growth based from the color change. So for the results and discussion, the number of experiments was 130. Each experiment comparing 5 water resources, including mineral water as the control. And then 5 bottles with different water sources were put under the sunlight for 2 weeks. So for the results showed the percentages of water sources that were used were mineral water, tap water, puddle water, river water, pool water, aquarium, groundwater, rainwater, lake water, reservoir, well water, and rice field water, spring water, and lastly, ocean. So for the results of mineral and tap water, or as we all know, PDAM water in Indonesia, does not show any growth of microalgae within 14 days of observation. The mineral and tap water does not change color or form sediment because it has been processed in such a way that it is suitable for public consumption. So drinking water treatment process is carried out in several stages, namely the water filtering process, the sludge and dirt disposition process, and then clarification process, which includes coagulation, flocculation, and sedimentation. And then there's a filtering process, and lastly, the disinfection process. Hence, the microalgae is not present, especially in the mineral water. And then these are some of the results of the experiments. So from the upper picture, from left to right, was used tap water, puddle water, river, and then mineral water, and lastly spring water. While the bottom picture was used from left to right, mineral water, pool water, and then puddle water, sewage water, and then tap water. So the change was first seen on the upper picture was on the 4th day, where on that day there was a change in color, which marked by the presence of brown and green dots in spring water and river water. And then while the bottom picture, it changed color on the pool water and during the 6th day and 7th day on the sewage water. So both of the picture had the appearance of sediment on the 7th day. And then the peak of microalgae growth was on the 10th day of observation. And from the upper picture, the microalgae in the spring water became more concentrated, and the colonies were clearly visible, as you can see in here. And the river water microalgae, which is yellow-brown in color, and while the spring water microalgae collect or settles at the bottom of the bottle in the color of dark green, whereas on the bottom picture, it was found that there was a change in color from light green to dark green, and there were deposits in the pool water and sewage. Meanwhile, the tap water, mineral water, and the puddle did not change until the last day of observation. Well, in this slide, it shows that there is a change of color from the puddle water, sewage water, and river water. So there was a brown precipitate which indicated the presence of microalgae in the sewer water sample, and brown deposits in the puddle. Meanwhile, in the river water, as you can see, there's a change in become green color after 14 days of observation, which indicated the presence of microalgae in those 3 samples. So, sorry. So the green colored water deposits indicate that there are microalgae from the green algae or Chlorophyta group. Meanwhile, the brown colored water indicates the presence of microalgae from the diatom group. Diatom pigments have more yellow color than the green pigments make. And diatoms are also known as golden brown algae. And these pigments make the water that contains diatoms in it look brown. So in conclusion, these changes of color indicated the growth of microalgae in the bottle. Brown colored water indicated diatom group, And whereas the green colored water indicated green or chlorophyta group, and the simple experiment was able to be developed for practical work during pandemic COVID-19, when the students have to study at home, but they are still able to get their competence by a small project-based learning. And I would like to express my deep gratitude to Professor Triakataningsih Sopabawati for the patient guidance, enthusiastic encouragement, and useful critique of this research work, and also the students for their help in collecting the data. And here are some documentations from the practical work that we have done for this research. I'd like to say thank you all for the attention. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. Thank you.
Thank you for the interesting presentations, Ms. Alisa Rivalia. And ladies and gentlemen, we open the QA sessions for Ms. Alisa Rivalia's presentations. We still have some minutes left for the QA. Okay. And also, we cordially remind you to fill the attendance list, especially for those who have presented the research within this room. The link of the attendance list can be seen through the meeting chat, and everyone could access it. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we've come to the end of the sessions. We have all presented, we have all watched the 8 presentations, and then it's time for us to close the sessions. We still expect to see you in the plenary sessions tomorrow to watch and to listen to the presentations that will be delivered by the presenters of the seminar. We thank you for the presentations. We thank you for the informations. We thank you for all the contributions that have been given to the international seminar. And I personally, I'm sorry if I have made some mistakes during the presentation sessions. Thank you so much. And let's close the sessions. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, Pak Rifka. Masya
Thank you,
Allah.
Pak. Terima kasih. Sehat selalu, Bapak.
Thank
dan
you,
Ibu.
Pak Rifka. Great
Sama-sama,
job.
Ibu. Ya, terima kasih.
Ini berarti boleh keluar ya, Pak Rifka?
Boleh, boleh Bapak. Nggih.
Maaf Pak Rifka,
Iya,
linknya
Ibu.
belum. Saya belum
Linknya
ngisi.
linknya ada di atas. Saya share lagi ya, Bu ya. Saya coba
Iya.
copy paste ya. Siap.
Saya ini tadi listrik mati di rumah Pak. Ini saya ke Kudus ini
Oh,
cari
begitu.
sinyal. Iya.
Luar biasa Bu perjuangannya ini.
Iya.
Apresiasi
Aduh,
Bu.
di kampung.
Iya.
Jadi sesi berikutnya kita nggak ikut Pak Rifka?
Untuk sesi berikutnya tidak Pak, sesuai dengan sesi masing-masing. Tetapi tadi sepertinya ada beberapa peserta yang tidak ada di sesi ini boleh menonton. Tapi mungkin bisa kami konfirmasi dulu nggih ke Pak Agus, apakah diperbolehkan jika peserta di luar sesi untuk menonton?
Oke, matur nuwun, matur nuwun.
Nggih.
Mohon izin, Ref.
Linknya ditunggu nggih Pak.
Baik Bu, ini segera saya share nggih.
Nggih, matur suwun.
Sudah saya share Bu.
Oh nggih,
Silakan.
makasih nggih.
Nggih.
Mohon izin, dalam left nih.
Nggih, Bapak, matur nuwun Bapak. Terima kasih.
Makasih banyak Pak Rifka. Saya juga
Sama-sama Bu.
izin live.
Best wishes Bu. Siap.
Sehat selalu ya.
Amin amin.
Terima kasih Pak, saya juga izin Pak.
Terima kasih Pak Eko. Sehat selalu Bapak. Bu Imu sudah bisa mengakses link ya Bu ya?
Sudah ya bisa Pak. Terima kasih saya
Baik, sama-sama
izin
Ibu.
keluar nggih.
Nggih.
Oh.
Pak Agus, saya mohon izin live juga nggih, Pak.
Oke, Pak. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih Pak Agus atas
Iya,
bantuannya.
iya.
Sampai ketemu nggih. Monggo.
Sukses.